It took the Edmonton Police Service 10 years almost to declare this case a suspected homicide. Dylan Koshman was last seen leaving his home near 104 Street and 33 Avenue in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, early in the morning of October the 11th, 2008. He had stormed out after an argument with his roommates, who were his cousins, Colin DeMason and Nick Koshman. A call to 911 from a neighbor was received at about 4 a.m. that morning, reporting that there were a bunch of guys fighting, acting crazy, and causing a disturbance. It was Thanksgiving weekend, and temperatures outside were well below freezing. His wallet was found in the yard of his next-door neighbor, and he left wearing a pair of skater shoes, a dark t-shirt, and jeans, certainly not dressed for the weather. A search did begin for Dylan shortly after he went missing, and posters went up all over town. He was reported by his girlfriend at the time, Erin Huff, a college student, on October the 15th, and he has not been seen or heard from since. Erin believed that the tension between the cousins was brewing over her frequent presence in the house. Colin thought Dylan should pay more for rent as a result of her being there. According to another cousin, Cameron Koshman, who was visiting at the time, after a night of drinking, Colin had demanded that Dylan move out. And they began pushing and shoving one another, crashing into a stove. Dylan had been texting Erin earlier that night, but when she called around 3 a.m., he did not answer, and so she went to sleep. He was also messaging his cousin Cameron around the same time. Erin would call hospitals in the area and even a remand center looking for Dylan, with no result. He called Colin, and he finally answered on Saturday afternoon, some 24 hours after Dylan had been missing. He said Dylan was not home and would not agree that she could come over. By the time Tuesday rolled around and Dylan was due back at work but did not show up, Erin called Dylan's mother. His mother was not allowed by Edmonton Police Service to call in a missing person report for her son because she was in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. His mother asked Colin to call it in, but Colin never did. By this time, he was gone for almost a week. Local volunteers mounted searches out of the little rented house where the family had set up their own command center that Colin and Dylan shared, that little house, but nothing came of those. Colin ignored the searches apparently and went skydiving instead, and then during a meeting with police, he suggested people go missing in Edmonton all the time, and they're usually found dumped in construction sites. He did provide a written statement to police, though, acknowledging that there was tension and that he had told Dylan to leave. Though he behaved in this way, the family doesn't blame Colin or Nick. In fact, both men did join in vigils for Dylan some years after his appearance. But it may well be, as is often the case, that the family simply doesn't want either Colin or Nick to be involved. They don't want it to be someone in their family. But honestly, these are the last two people who have seen Dylan, and it certainly was not a peaceful and happy encounter. Police finally determined, after nearly a decade, that Dylan was likely the victim of a homicide. They indicate that there are people who lied about the circumstances, lied to the family about what happened to Dylan, and they would obviously like to get to the bottom of it. This week, it will be 15 years since Dylan was last seen, one of the longest open missing persons investigations for Edmonton, and it's been 7 years of homicide investigation. The leads and searches have not given police any further information about what happened to him. There was no activity on Dylan's phone or on his accounts since he left. But someone out there knows. Someone knows what happened to Dylan, and that person needs to come forward and speak up. There is a $40,000 reward for information in the case. Dylan would have been 21 when he disappeared, and he would be 36 now if he were still alive. He was 5'9" tall and about 190 pounds. He had hazel eyes and brown hair. He was deaf in his right ear and had some slight scars on his left cheek and on his left eyebrow. He wore earrings in both ears and was last seen wearing jeans, a dark t-shirt, and the skater shoes. If you have any information that might help bring some resolution to this case, you can find the people to contact below on this video. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and if you're interested in missing persons cases, don't forget to subscribe, follow, so that you don't miss the videos we put out every Monday.